I used to think diabetes would control the rest of my life. I remember sitting in my kitchen one quiet morning, looking at a blood sugar chart my doctor gave me, all red zones and warning signs. It felt like my body had turned against me, and every bite I took was part of the problem. But something shifted when I started paying closer attention to what I was eating. Not in a trendy way. I'm not talking about fads or starving myself. I'm talking about real food, the kind that comes from the ground, not from a box. This is what my doctor and nutritionist guided me to do, and it worked. I lost the extra weight around my belly, my numbers came down, and I even started sleeping better. Thank the Lord for second chances, even in our 60s. It wasn't about a miracle pill. It was about small, consistent changes, especially with my meals. Now, let's take a moment to understand what really causes this sugar roller coaster. Insulin resistance means your cells don't respond well to insulin anymore, so the sugar stays in your blood instead of fueling your body. It gets worse with age, especially if we carry weight around the middle or if inflammation builds up over time. But the good news is the right foods can calm that storm. They help your cells respond better to insulin, steady your blood sugar, and support your heart and weight too. This isn't theory. It's based on what the Mayo Clinic and top diabetes specialists have been saying for years. Today, I'll share 7 foods that are simple, satisfying, and approved by doctors. These are the ones I lean on every day, because after 60, every bite matters. If this video helps you, feel free to share it with someone you love. Number 7, vegetables rich in fiber. The smell of broccoli steaming on the stove always takes me back to my mother's kitchen in Mississippi. She used to say, if it crunches from the garden, it's good for the soul. Back then, I didn't know that those same vegetables, like spinach, zucchini, and carrots, would one day help me fight something as serious as diabetes. These aren't just side dishes anymore. They become part of my daily defense team. Full of fiber that slows down how fast sugar hits the blood, they keep me steady after meals. And when I fill half my plate with them, like my doctor suggested, I notice fewer cravings and more energy, especially in the afternoons when I used to crash. These veggies give more than flavor. They give control. Funny thing is, most folks I talk to think healthy food has to be boring or bland. But throw some olive oil in a skillet, add garlic, and toss in spinach until it wilts. That's flavor right there. Or roast zucchini and carrots with a little sea salt and pepper until they get crispy edges. God gave us color in our food for a reason. Red tomatoes, dark green kale, orange carrots. Each one loaded with antioxidants that cool inflammation and support our blood vessels. When your plate looks like a rainbow, your body feels a blessing. It's not about going hungry. It's about choosing foods that love you back. My doctor explained it like this. The more fiber you eat, the more slowly your body digests sugars. That means no sugar spikes, no sugar crashes. That's why I stopped juicing vegetables with sweet fruits. I used to think green juice was healthy, but it made my sugar climb fast. Now I just eat the vegetables whole. A good crunchy salad, or broccoli steamed just right, gives me that full feeling without the blood sugar headache later. It's a simple shift, but it makes all the difference. Especially when you're managing not just diabetes, but weight, pressure, and cholesterol too. A few months ago, my granddaughter helped me plant a small raised garden behind the house. We put in kale, cherry tomatoes, and yellow squash. Every morning, I walk out there with my coffee and check what's grown. There's something healing about watching food grow. It reminds me that change takes time, but it does happen. Picking my own vegetables, washing them by hand, and preparing them fresh has become part of my rhythm. In a world of fast fixes, slowing down for a home-cooked veggie dish feels like a quiet kind of prayer. Looking back, I can't believe how long I overlooked something so simple. I used to smother vegetables in cheese sauce or skip them altogether. But now, I thank the Lord for the healing power in His creation, the kind that comes from the earth and works gently in our bodies. Since I made vegetables the center of my meals, my belly's slimmer, my sugar's more stable, and even my knees complain less. And to think, all it took was filling half my plate with something my mother always told me to eat anyway. Number 6, whole grains. Back when I first started watching my blood sugar, I didn't expect a simple bowl of oatmeal to be part of the answer. But there I was, 6:30 in the morning, stirring the pot like my mama used to, and realizing it made me feel steady. Whole grains like oats, brown rice, and barley don't just fill you up, they help your body slow down the sugar roller coaster. My doctor explained it plain and simple. Refined grains spike your glucose, but whole grains feed you slow and keep insulin resistance in check. After 60, that kind of steady energy feels like a gift. I thank the good Lord for showing me that simple doesn't mean weak. Sometimes it's the quiet foods that do the heavy lifting. One mistake I made early on, buying those multi-grain breads and cereals thinking they were healthy. Turns out most of them are just white flour dressed up in fancy packaging. I remember my blood sugar shooting up after one of those so-called healthy breakfasts, and that was my wake-up call. Now I read every label. If it doesn't say 100% whole grain right at the start, it doesn't go in my cart. It took time, but once I made the switch, I noticed fewer crashes, better digestion, and even my doctor was impressed at my next visit. These days, I like to cook in batches. On Sundays, I boil a big pot of brown rice or quinoa, let it cool, then portion out for the week. Add some chopped spinach, a boiled egg, maybe a splash of olive oil. That's lunch. Quick, filling, and kind to my blood sugar. My wife says I become the grain guy in the family. And hey, if it works, why not? We've even started using whole wheat flour in our cornbread recipe. Still tastes like Sunday supper, just a little better for the body. When I talk to friends at church potlucks, I tell them, don't be afraid of carbs. Just choose the right ones. Grains from God's green earth, the kind your grandparents probably ate, can still have a place on your plate. Barley in soups, rye toast at breakfast, or even some old-fashioned steel-cut oats with cinnamon. They all help me stay balanced. And I don't miss the white bread or sugary cereals one bit. Once you get used to that nutty flavor and chewy texture, everything else just tastes empty. I can honestly say that switching to whole grains helped me feel in control again, not just of my diabetes, but of my choices. It reminded me that health doesn't have to come from a pill bottle. Sometimes it's in a warm bowl of oats or a spoonful of quinoa that fuels your body the right way. Since I made that change, my pants fit better, my numbers stay lower, and I don't dread mealtime anymore. It's one of those small blessings. I thank God for every single day. Number 5, legumes and beans. The first time I added lentils to my stew, I didn't expect much. Just thought I'd give it a try. But after a few weeks of swapping out heavy meats for beans and chickpeas, something surprising happened. My blood sugar calmed down. I didn't feel that drowsy fog after lunch anymore. Turns out, beans are packed with fiber and plant-based protein, which slows down digestion and helps insulin do its job. My doctor called it a diabetic secret weapon. And you know what? I believe him. These little things are cheap, filling, and humble, but they sure know how to do their job. My grandson once asked me, "Grandpa, why do you eat so many beans now?" I told him it's because they treat me better than most people do. We laugh, but there's truth in it. Beans are kind to your body. They feed the good bacteria in your gut, and a happy gut means better insulin response. Before, I'd have big swings in my energy. Now, with lentils or black beans in my meals, I feel more even, like the engine's running smoother. Even my knees ache less when I eat better. And all that from a bowl of beans? God sure knew what he was doing when he made those. I've gotten creative with how I cook them, too. On chili days, I make a hearty bean chili with tomatoes, cumin, and just a touch of garlic. In the summer, I toss chickpeas with olive oil and roast them until they're crunchy. Makes a great snack while watching baseball. And when I'm short on time, I grab canned beans, rinse them real good, and add them to salads or brown rice bowls. It doesn't have to be fancy. The key is to keep them ready and within reach. That way I don't reach for something I'll regret later. Now, I'll admit, I used to drown my beans in bacon grease or mix them with too much white rice. That kind of cooking tasted good, sure, but it undid the good the beans were trying to do. These days, I aim for balance. A little rice, more beans, some veggies on the side. Still tastes like home, just doesn't come with that sugar spike later. It's amazing how small changes in how we cook can lead to big changes in how we feel. And I sure feel better than I did 5 years ago. Looking back, I'm grateful I gave beans another shot. They weren't always a star of the plate, but now they're one of my most trusted allies. Every time I open a can or stir a pot, I remember that health can come from the simplest places. A bag of lentils, a handful of peas. It may not sound like a miracle, but for me, it's part of one. And I thank the Lord each time I feel just a little bit stronger after a meal. Number 4, low glycemic whole fruits. I used to avoid fruit like it was candy. For years, I thought any kind of sugar was the enemy, even the natural kind. But one day, my dietitian handed me a small bowl of berries and said, "Try this with a spoon of plain Greek yogurt." I hesitated, then gave it a go. And you know what? My blood sugar barely budged. That's when I learned the power of low glycemic fruits. Apples, pears, peaches, kiwi, berries. They come wrapped in fiber, which slows down how sugar hits the blood. Unlike juice, these fruits work gently, like a handshake instead of a slap. Have you ever bitten into a cold pear on a hot summer day? There's something about that juicy crunch that makes you feel refreshed from the inside out. Now, I always keep a few in my fridge, right next to my insulin. Funny how both of them help, but only one tastes like a blessing from nature. I like to pair fruit with protein, some almonds, or a bit of cottage cheese, and it keeps me full between meals. Back in the day, I'd reach for cookies or crackers. Now, a handful of berries does the trick, and my blood sugar thanks me every time. My wife started slicing up apples and adding cinnamon on top. No sugar, just cinnamon, and baking them for dessert. It smells like Thanksgiving and tastes like grace. We don't miss pies and cobblers nearly as much as I thought we would. The trick is keeping the fruit whole, chewing it, feeling its texture. That fiber is where the real magic lives. Juice, on the other hand, takes all that away and floods the body with sugar. I learned that the hard way, after one too many healthy smoothies that left me feeling worse than before. I've also come to appreciate how colorful fruit helps with more than just blood sugar. Those rich blues and reds and greens mean antioxidants, which calm inflammation, sharpen memory, and keep your heart steady. When I walk to the farmer's market and see baskets of berries and peaches, I feel like a kid again, and I get to pick what blesses my body, not burdens it. It's a small joy, but in this season of life, small joys are mighty. Looking back, I'm glad I didn't throw fruit out with cake. With the right choices, I got the sweetness without the setback. These days, when I peel an apple or pop a few blackberries in my mouth, I feel connected to the land, to my health, to the simple wisdom of nature. And every time it helps me avoid a sugar crash, I whisper, "Thank you, Lord, for this kind of sweetness." Number 3, omega-3 rich fish. The first time I tried sardines out can, I wrinkled my nose, smelled like the ocean, and looked like bait. But my doctor kept talking about omega-3s and how fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines could help with blood sugar, cholesterol, and even brain fog. So I gave it a real try. I mashed them with a bit of mustard and lemon, put them on whole grain toast. And you know what? Not bad. What surprised me more was how I felt after a few weeks. Less stiff, clearer in the head, and no blood sugar spike after meals. It wasn't magic. It was fish. My friend Earl down at the VFW calls salmon Jesus' protein, says it's what he'd eat if he had just one meal left. We laugh, but there's something special about it. Omega-3s fight inflammation deep down, where you can't see it, but sure can feel it. And when you live with diabetes, that kind of silent inflammation messes with everything. Your insulin, your heart, even your joints. I started having fish twice a week, grilled, or baked with herbs and olive oil. And let me tell you, it doesn't just taste good, it feels good. When I'm in a hurry, I reach for canned tuna or sardines packed in olive oil. Easy, cheap, and shelf-stable. I mix it with chopped celery and a spoonful of plain yogurt for a quick lunch. I used to think healthy meant expensive, but fish proved me wrong. Even frozen salmon fillets from the store work fine. Just don't fry 'em, that undoes the good stuff. Instead, I pop 'em in the oven, add a slice of lemon, and say a small prayer of thanks while it bakes. Simple meals, honest benefits. Now, there's a catch. Not all fish are safe. My nutritionist warned me about high mercury ones like swordfish and king mackerel, especially at our age. Too much mercury can mess with your memory and nerves. So I stick to the safe ones. Wild salmon, sardines, can light tuna. They help my heart, my sugar levels, and even my joints. And honestly, after eating lighter like this, I don't miss those heavy fried catfish dinners one bit. Since adding more fish to my week, I sleep better, move easier, and my blood tests tell a better story. I used to roll my eyes when folks talk about superfoods. Now I get it. God made the oceans full of life, and some of that life helps us live longer and feel lighter. Every time I sit down to a plate of grilled salmon, I say, this right here, this is medicine that tastes like dinner. Number 2, healthy fats. Sunday mornings used to mean eggs, bacon, and buttered toast. That was the Southern way, rich, heavy, and comforting. But after my A1C climbed too high, my doctor sat me down and said, we got to change how your plate looks, not just what's on it. That's when I started learning about healthy fats. Avocados, almonds, olive oil, the kind of fats that don't clog you up but keep things running smooth. I swapped out the butter for a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, and surprisingly, I didn't miss the old stuff. These good fats keep me full, steady my blood sugar, and help with cholesterol too. Small change, big difference. If olive oil were a person, I'd say he's the wise old gentleman in the kitchen. Doesn't shout, doesn't burn quick, just adds depth and calm. I use it on roasted veggies, in salad dressings, even a spoonful over beans. It's rich without being greasy. And the science backs it up. Folks who use more olive oil tend to have better heart health and better insulin response. I don't need a university study to tell me I feel better since I started using it daily. The body knows when it's being cared for. So does the soul. My daughter showed me how to blend avocado with a bit of lemon and salt. Makes a fine spread on whole grain toast. Creamy, filling, and way better for you than margarine or mayo. Sometimes I add an egg on top and call it breakfast. Other days, I grab a small handful of walnuts or almonds around 3 p.m. It keeps the snack cravings in check. I used to think eating fat was bad, but now I know it's which fat that matters. And these ones help me stay off the blood sugar roller coaster. One thing I had to learn the hard way. Even healthy fats have calories. I went a little too heavy on the cashews one week, and the scale reminded me real quick. Now I stick to a small handful, not a bowl. Moderation doesn't mean deprivation. It just means being mindful. God gave us these natural gifts, nuts, seeds, oils, fruits like avocado, not to overindulge, but to nourish wisely. At this stage of life, I want fuel, not fluff. And these fats give me just that. These days, I actually look forward to my meals. No guilt, no crash, no confusion. Just whole food that treats me right. And these healthy fats are part of that foundation. My numbers look better. My joints feel looser. And I'm not hungry all the time like I used to be. It's amazing how one spoonful of the right oil or one slice of avocado can change how the whole day goes. I thank the Lord for the wisdom to make better choices, even if it took me 60 years to figure it out. Number 1, low-fat dairy. Back in the day, I drank whole milk by the glass and slathered butter on everything. That's just how we did it growing up. But after my blood sugar crept up, along with my weight and blood pressure, my doctor said, let's lighten up the dairy a bit. So I tried low-fat options, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, even skim milk. I wasn't sure I'd like it, but it surprised me. When paired with oatmeal or fruit, it kept me full longer, and my numbers started moving in the right direction. Turns out, low-fat dairy still has all the good stuff, protein, calcium, without the extra fat that can weigh you down. My morning routine now includes a bowl of Greek yogurt with blueberries and a sprinkle of ground flaxseed. It's creamy, refreshing, and gives me that nice boost without the sugar crash. And cottage cheese, let me tell you, it became my favorite afternoon snack. I add some sliced peaches or even just a pinch of cinnamon, and it feels like dessert. These simple swaps made a big difference in my day. They help with muscle, bones, and even how my body processes carbs. After 60, we need every bit of support we can get. One mistake I made early on was trusting those light yogurts with bright labels. But most of them were loaded with artificial sweeteners and junk. Now I read the labels carefully. No added sugar, no funny stuff. Just plain natural dairy. If I want sweetness, I add fresh fruit or a touch of cinnamon. I even started using low-fat milk to make overnight oats. Easy to prep, easy to digest. And my blood sugar doesn't bounce around like it used to. It's amazing how one change of breakfast can set the tone for the rest of the day. There's a comfort in dairy. Maybe it's the creaminess. Maybe it's the warmth of old memories. A glass of cold milk, a warm bowl of porridge, or even a slice of low-fat cheese on whole grain toast. These little things bring peace to the table, and they help us stay strong too. My bones aren't what they used to be, but with enough calcium and protein, I feel steadier on my feet. Food isn't just fuel, it's support. And when chosen wisely, it becomes part of your care, like prayer and sleep. I never thought I'd say this, but I actually enjoy my low-fat routine now. It's lighter, easier on my stomach, and better for my health. My A1C came down, and so did my scale, and I didn't have to give up flavor to get there. I just had to listen to my body, to my doctor, and to that quiet voice inside that said, there's still time to feel better. And every time I scoop the yogurt or pour that milk, I thank God for giving us second chances, even in something as simple as a glass of dairy.